everyone, and welcome back. As always, I'm your girl, Candy Washington. So before we dive into today's episode, which is just a fun pop culture chat, we'll be talking about Beyonce, Jay-Z, the Grammys, Monique, her son, Kyle Richards. What is the real deal with why she split from hubby Mauricio? I have a new theory that I want to share with you guys. So before we dive in, go ahead and like, subscribe, and share. So with that, let's go. And as we go through, be sure to put down your comments, your questions, your conspiracy theories, your thoughts. Put them down in the comment box. Let's have a fun and lively chat. Let me know where you're listening from, and let me know what your thoughts are on Beyonce, Jay-Z, Monique, Kyle, and everything. We are going to get into it. So with that, let's start with our first story. So, as we all know, comedian Monique has made headlines. First, it was for her infamous beef with Oprah and with Tyler Perry and Lee Daniels over everything that happened with Precious. The very top line cliff notes of that is this. Monique played the lead role in the movie Precious. It was an independent film with Lionsgate. She had her deal with Lee Daniels, who was the director of it. I'm not sure if he wrote the script or not, but I know that he directed the script. We all know Lee Daniels. He did, all the Fox shows like Star and Empire and all of that. Everybody knows Oprah. Everybody knows Tyler Perry. These are the producers on the movie. Monique did her domestic marketing for the show, and she obviously, acted in the show. Everything was cool. Now, when it came to award season, they were like, okay, now we want you to market the film in Cannes, in France. We want you to really do the award marketing of the show. And Monique and her, quote, daddy, husband / manager was like, well, if you want me to do extra marketing that I was not contracted to do for the movie, then you need to pay me. If not, I'm just going to go and do whatever I want to do. I want to hang out with my family. I want to go do other projects. And they were like, and by they, I mean like the people at Lionsgate, the powers that be, Tyler Perry, Oprah, Lee Daniels were like, no, you need to just do your job, come and market the freaking film, let it win a ton of awards. And then once it wins all the awards, you can basically do whatever you want in Hollywood because you'll have your Oscar, you'll be the new darling and all of this stuff, right? And Monique and her, quote, daddy, which is what she calls her husband / manager, were like, no. And this sparked a huge beef between all of them. She's like, I'm being blackballed in Hollywood. Oprah hates Black women. Tyler Perry hates Black women. They all tried to take me down. They stopped my bag, blah, 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 blah. Now, quickly, what my opinion on that situation is this. And she did a whole new interview with Shay on the Shay podcast. You guys can go watch that. It's like 2.5 hours, which only reason why I think she got that interview was because of the big interview that Shay did with Cat Williams. Go watch that. It's brilliant. Again, it's about 2 hours, 3.5 hours, but it's amazing. It's gone viral. Everybody's talking about it. I'm sure you've heard about it. If not, go watch it. It's great. He's exposing people. It's juicy. It's good. Okay. It's good. So obviously she kind of jumped on that halo and was like, well, let me go talk about something that happened 10 years ago again. Now, where I land on that, because I think it's important to have that sort of background before we dive into what's happening with Monique and her son. And by the way, this was a Candy Cane request. I believe it was Chocolate Chunks who requested this. If it wasn't, then I apologize. But this was a Candy Cane request. They wanted me to cover what was going on with Monique. No, I think Chocolate Chunks wanted me to do Jay-Z and Beyonce. And we will be doing that. We'll be doing that too. But you know who it was? Tion. Shout out to Tion. Shout out to our Candy Cane Tion. He wanted me to cover Monique and her son and all of this drama. So if you guys have any requests on what stories you want me to cover, from pop culture to reality TV to true crime, email me, DM me, let me know, because I'm doing Candy Cane request. So shout out to Tion who requested this story. So I think that's important to understand that backstory for this. This is where I land on it, and put it in the chat box what your thoughts were with Monique versus Tyler Perry and Lee Daniels and Oprah and blackballing and all of that stuff. What were your thoughts on that? Do you think she was being difficult and ridiculous and she just should have, did her job and kept marketing the film? Or do you think, no, she was only paid for X amount of marketing? If they wanted her to work more, then they should have paid her more. Okay? Put it down below. Let me know what you guys think. I'll tell you what I think. And this is just my opinion, and I want to know what your opinion is. I think that both sides were right and both sides were wrong. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. Where I think Monique was right is, I get it. You don't want to leave your family, leave your other commitments, and travel and market a movie when they're not actually paying you to do that. I totally get that. I understand saying, no, I signed a contract to act in the film, to do X amount of promo. I fulfilled my contractual obligation. What you paid me for is what I did. Now you're asking me to do more work for free, and I don't want to do that. I totally understand that. I get that. That thinking, I think she's right. Where I think she's wrong is you have to have a level of business acumen. You also have to have a level of discernment. You have to have also a level of understanding nuance when it comes to relationships, particularly in business. And then you also have to understand equity that is not just money. And what I mean by that, by equity, by value, right? By profit. It's not, you can have equity, you can get equity out of something that's not just give me a paycheck. She would have gotten so much equity if she would have said, you know what? I get the game. You paid me to act. You paid me to do the domestic stuff, but this is award season. We're going to the Cannes Film Festival. We're going for the Oscars. We're going for the gold here. We're going for the big stuff. Let me foster relationships with the press, with the media, with the executives at Lionsgate, with Lee Daniels, with Oprah, with Tyler Perry. Not that you have to kiss anybody's butt, not that you have to, quote, be a slave, because I don't think that's what they were asking, but you have to understand the levels to this. In any industry you work in, any industry, beyond money, your relationships is the most valuable thing that you can have, because then you can leverage that to get more, to get the bigger paycheck next time, to get the projects you want to work on, to get the referrals. In life, there are bigger things that will bring you more value and equity than just money. Very scarcity mindset and very closed minds think that the only value something has is its monetary value. And that's really not true. That's a very basic way of thinking. She could have played this so differently, and came out on top. So do I think she's right to feel I don't want to work and not get paid for the work? Sure, you can feel that way. But where I think she's wrong is she's missing the bigger picture of how the game is actually played. Because what she could have gotten by promoting her own film that she was in, that she won an Oscar for, would have been way more valuable than any piece of paycheck her and daddy were looking to get. Now, on the flip side, where I think maybe like the Oprah, the Tyler Perry, the Lee Daniels camp, the executives camp, where I think they were right and where I think they were wrong. This is where I land on that. Where I think they were right is, just like I said with where Monique was wrong, listen, this business isn't just about a paycheck. This business is about relationships. It's about reputation. It's about brand equity. It's about leveraging, accolades and all of that stuff. This is how it actually gets done. This is how it works. Work with us, we'll work with you. You scratch our back, we'll scratch yours. That's just how it is. So they're looking at it like, wait a minute, this is a huge opportunity. We're not asking you to, quote, work for free, because what you will get by all of us working together will be huge. So I get where they're saying that's That's where I think they're right at that, because there are levels to this. There is business acumen, there is emotional intelligence, there is nuance, there is relationship building, there is public persona, there is all of that stuff. So I think they're right in that camp. Where I think they went wrong was, and again, I'm going to say alleged because I don't know how much of anybody's story I believe. I don't know how much of Monique's story I believe. I don't know how much of Oprah's or Tyler's or Lee Daniels' story I believe. I personally like all of these people from a professional standpoint. I don't know them personally. So I don't really know who I believe, but where I think hypothetically they went wrong is if Monique did not want to play ball, okay, she didn't want to play ball. But don't then try to malign her or blackball her or say she's difficult and she's all of that stuff if the only thing she is saying is what I see the value in is a paycheck. And if you're not going to pay me, then I'm not going to work. That's not being difficult. That's just how she's perceiving the situation. So I think that, and again, hypothetically, because I don't really know who I believe in this situation. So I'm just speaking in hypotheticals here. So hypothetically, if she did not want to play ball, okay. But don't stop her bag next time. Don't malign her. Don't, blackball her or blacklist her if that is truly what happened. Just say, okay, she didn't want to play ball. We're just not going to hire her for our next project. But there's no need to then block her from other projects that she wants to go do, because that's not really being difficult. That's just somebody creating a boundary that you might not like. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I kind of land on that situation. Now, when it comes to Monique and her son, because as we know, Monique went on Club Shay Shay. She rehashed all the stuff, all the Oprah, Tyler Perry, Lee Daniels, blah, 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 all of that stuff, her daddy and all that weird stuff, whatever. To each their own. I'm not going to judge it, not for me, but whatever. Shay Shay asks her the question about her eldest son, Shalon. I didn't know she had an older son. I just thought she had the two children with her husband, but she has an older son, Shalon. And she says something to the effect of, and I have about a 4-minute recap of it that we're going to watch. And she basically says, like, I asked the universe to bring us back together, but he doesn't want it. I'm here when he is, blah, 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 blah. So then he goes to TikTok and he does about a 10-minute monologue, soliloquy, spoken word poetry about his trauma with her being his mother, that she was absentee, that she basically abandoned him. They don't have a good relationship. She wasn't there for him. All he wants is like time, but he doesn't think he's going to get it. She's kind of drank her husband Kool-Aid, does whatever he says, all of that stuff. Then her and her husband go to Instagram and they do some weird response being like, we gave you $10,000 for the down payment of your car. Didn't you talk, but you failed to talk about that. It was just so weird and bizarre. I have like a 4-minute recap that we're going to watch. If you want me to play it's about 10 minutes, so it's a long. If you want me to play what he actually said, put it in the comments box and I'll play it. But I think let's watch about a 4-minute recap that someone did that I thought will sum it up. And then we'll dive into what I think is going on with her son, Shaylon, what I think is going on with her, who I think is right, who I think is wrong. And I want to know what you guys think too. So let's watch.
I was very young when I had my first son.
When I hear my son, when I hear you, Shalon, talk about money.
To address money.
We gave you the half of the down payment.
You did. You gave me $10,000 for a down payment on a car. Yes. Thank you again.
And I'm negotiating the deal with the dealer for you as you sit there.
Okay. But I'm not sure what my mother could possibly think that she has shown me in the past or have for me now that's not money. Goodness gracious. that would make me want to come to her or whatever those feelings were supposed to be.
You have the vehicle you're driving right now because of your mother.
Thank you. My girlfriend and I were already prepared to put our money together and get a car. You and your husband called us one day and stated that y'all were going to give us $5,000 for a down payment. We said, okay. You then called us back a day or two later and stated that you would be giving us $10,000 for a down payment on the car. You and him made the conscious choice to give us that money. We did not ask you for anything, but this is an example of a rich person doing something for you, and because, an example of a rich person doing something for you because they want to do it for you, but because it doesn't have the desired effect that they want it to have, you are inconsiderate and ungrateful.
and stuff. It's like, baby, as I told you when you were younger, I told you as a man, don't let nobody introduce you to me. You know who your mama is.
My mother loved things more than she loved me.
You know who your mama is.
And she would validate her love for me by giving me things and would proceed to call me ungrateful or inconsiderate if said things did not have the desired effect.
You know who your mama is.
You are not interested in being a mother.
Because when you're trying to go get it, you're missing this right here.
Oh, you miss a lot.
The nurturing,
Yes.
you miss all of that.
Yes.
You know who your mama is.
My mother showed a clear lack of humility, compassion, and consideration when taking any level of accountability for those things.
You know who your mama is.
My mother does a fantastic job of acknowledging a lot of things.
You know who your mama is.
But she doesn't take accountability very well.
You know who your mama is.
And anything that she may take true accountability for, it's only at her convenience.
You know who your mama is.
To this very day, my mother has never expressed to me when, if ever, she became interested in me as her son.
You know who your mama is.
That did lead me down a path of questioning my self-worth and struggling to understand the value of a mother in a child's life.
I've taken accountability for it. Now it's up to you.
Every time, though, that my mother would state that she was right here whenever I was ready, that ideology still blows my mind today, that a person could openly admit to being an uninterested, not put my best foot forward type of parent and be so self-centered that they still express to the kid, you have to come to me when you're ready. You got to come to me for us to make this right.
You know who your mama is.
I've done my part. And don't apologize like no punk. Let's go bit by bit so that way we know you understand the offense that you've done.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying because I've had to do that.
In the interview, she also states that she gave me an apology, but an apology to a son from a mother that consciously showed no interest in him holds no weight.
You know who your mama is.
I couldn't imagine what it's like to be her, though, to ask God for what you want, and then he gives you what you need, though, only for you to ignore it and have the audacity to ask God for something else. And I'm glad I don't, I'm glad I didn't do that. And when he told you no, you went to the universe instead.
And that's it.
Right.
That's it.
You know who your mama is.
Okay. So that was basically what the conversation was between Monique and her son, Shalone. His position is, you abandoned me as a child. You weren't there emotionally. You were doing you. So, and you talked about it publicly. Now, don't get up on Club Shay Shay talking about you wish we had a relationship. You apologize to me, blah, 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 blah. He's basically saying, in my opinion, because he doesn't say it, but I think he's basically saying you're a narcissistic mother. All you care about is image. I give you money. I give you this, baby this, daddy that. But when it comes down to it, you were not there for me emotionally and physically as I needed you to be as your son. And then in that 9-minute rant that he does, it's not a rant. I don't want to call it a rant because I don't want to be dismissive because I do believe him. I think that he is in a lot of pain. I think he is telling the truth. And I think that a lot of times, because I also saw someone say, when I was researching this, someone did this post and they're like, oh, well, my mother had me when she was 13 and she gave me up to foster care and I was raised by grandparents and other people, and I would never go online talking against my mom and giving, people ammunition against her. I would never speak against my mother. Okay, well, sir, that's you. I think that there is sometimes a unhealthy, toxic glorification of mother, where when the mother is narcissistic or emotionally unavailable or abandons their child or is abusive or is toxic or is unhealthy in any way, it's like you can't ever speak against mom. You can't ever go against your mother, right? There's almost this sort of like toxic hero worship of mother. And it goes deeper to like, women and the patriarchy in general. It's like the mother can't win. The mother either has to be this, amazing angel, self-sacrificing, never has any of her own ambitions in order to be, quote, a good mom. Or if she does have her own ambitions and she does do what she wants to do, then she's evil and she's toxic and she's unhealthy. So it's almost like you can't win as a mom. And then baked into that is the toxic glorification of mother. Now, where I land on that when it comes to this situation, I believe this young man. Monique herself, when she has talked in interviews, I didn't even know she had a son his age. She only ever really talks about her children with, quote, daddy. And I think what the son is saying, hey, look, you had me, yes, when you were young, but you wanted to go be Monique, the comedian, the actress, the star. And in Monique's own words, she said that she was dipping it and doing it and busting it open with whomever and wherever. I had no idea she even had this son. And I think it's very maybe normal or common, I don't know what the word is, for older children of people who then go on to sort of get their life together, get married, and then they have a whole new family like Monique does. She got married to her husband and then they went on to have their own set of twin boys. And so he's kind of like, well, where do I fit in? Where were you when I was a kid and I needed a mother? Where were you when I was growing up? You were out there doing you, and I was being raised by my grandparents. I was being raised by my aunties and my uncles, so don't act like you were there for me growing up because you were doing what you wanted to do. Right? So this is the thing. I understand where he's coming from, and I believe him. And I think there's a difference between a parent or a mother who goes after their dreams and they want to do what they want to do with their life, who is still able to be present for their child, versus a parent who is inherently narcissistic and emotionally unavailable. Now, I'm not a doctor, I don't diagnose, but in my personal opinion, I think Monique falls into the latter. I think that she, in my opinion, seems to display very narcissistic and emotionally unavailable qualities, not only as a mother, but also as a person. That's just the vibe and energy I get from her. I'm not diagnosing her. I'm not a doctor. I'm not saying this is who she is or this is the truth. I'm just saying this is my opinion based on my observations. And I'll tell you why. Number one, the first thing they did to him was they dismissed him. Their tone was condescending. Their attitude was dismissive. They had smirks on their faces. There was no genuine concern. There was no actual, I want this to work out. And they responded publicly. It was very, very dismissive. It was very cold and it was very detached. The second thing they did was they went straight to, well, we gave you $10,000. The only reason why you have a car is for us. So now they are emasculating him, and they're also equating money and things they're equating the tangible, money and things, with the intangible, which is what he was wanting. He was wanting time. He was wanting attention. He was wanting connection. So they are equating the tangible, which is a very narcissistic, dismissive, emotionally unavailable thing to do. Well, I gave you this, this, and this. Think about a lot of marriages. You know, I'll be very stereotypical. Think about your stereotypical marriage where the man is like, well, I bought you this house. I buy you bags. I buy you cars. You have all the money. And the wife is like, I don't care about all of that. I just want your time. I want to feel love. I want you to prioritize me. I want you to come home. I want you to be with me. That is what I am picking up here, where she equates, I give you tangible things. And he's like, but I want the intangible things as your child, as your son. It's giving abandonment wounds. It's giving narcissistic mother vibes. And for me, I wanted to give Monique the benefit of the doubt, but the look on her face, she was enjoying it. It was all about the attention for her. She was enjoying it. And it just gave me the creeps. And then when her whole tone and her eyes and her whole demeanor changes, when her mask falls and she goes, you know who your mother is? That was so creepy and weird to me. I feel like her son has gone through it. I feel like he's been through some stuff. I feel like he's seen some stuff. And he also told us something without saying it outright. I'm not going to get too deep into it because I don't want to go too far deep in this rabbit hole. But when he said you went to God and God said no, and then you went to the universe, he just said a lot with that statement. I'm going to leave it there. I don't want to get too far deep because that can go in a very deep rabbit hole when it comes to that. But just think about what he said. He said, you went to God for what you wanted, but God gives you what you need. And when God said no, you went to the universe. I'm just going to leave that there. Think on what he is actually saying. Think about what Cat Williams said at Shay Shay. He said it's not white or black side. He said it's God's side and the other side. So just think about that and think about everything going on in Hollywood right now. Everybody being, quote, exposed. I'm not going to go too dark. I'm not going to go down too far. I don't want to trigger anybody. I don't want to conjure anything, but just think about it. Think about what he said. So for me, I'm on team Shaylin because number one, as the mother, as the quote adult, you should not be speaking publicly against your children. And that's what I felt when I was, that's why, again, I was telling you guys about how someone was like, you know, my mother abandoned me and I would never go online and talk about her. Well, sir, you just did. But secondly, children, and I don't care how old you are, I'm talking about the relationship dynamic. I'm talking about the dynamics of the relationship. I'm not talking about age, because you could be 55 years old and when your mother is abusive towards you, that 6-year-old in you is the one who was hurting. So I'm talking about the relationship dynamics. Whenever the parent disrespects and is dismissive to the child, that is when it is out of order. And when that child responds or reacts, that is just them trying to get their parents' love and attention. So even though I think he's maybe in his 30s, I'm guessing, maybe late 20s, what is reacting in him is the little boy that just wanted his mother. And when it comes to the dynamics of the relationship, it was her job to foster that relationship. And when she speaks publicly against her child, then I don't see anything wrong with the child publicly responding to being talked about in public. Now, if Monique had just said, oh, that's my son, he's doing great, next question, and then he came out with this, okay, maybe I'm like, you know what? You don't got to go in on your mom like that. But when she sits there for 10 to 15 minutes with a weird look on her face, lying and dogging her child out, then the child has every right to respond publicly any way that child sees fit. Because at the end of the day, Monique may be his mother, but she's just a person too. You know what I'm saying? I also think that Monique is very manipulative. I think she's very good at conflating a lot of issues. Very good at conflating a lot of issues. She uses a lot of truths, things that are true, to become the forever victim. Just like her son said. Like the stuff with Oprah and Tyler and Lee Daniels, I see both sides, for right and for wrong. And but I have to say, Monique is talking about, oh, Oprah doesn't put anybody on and blah, 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 blah. But Monique, who have you put on? Who has Monique helped or supported? She talks about all of her resume all day long, but who has Monique supported? What young Black person or a person in general, doesn't even have to be about race or gender, who has she helped? Who has she brought up? Because it's always about her, 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 her. And Oprah, there's a lot going on with Oprah. I am not defending anybody in this situation at all. But Oprah has helped and put on people. I know there's a lot of stuff going on about her. There's a lot of people coming out. There's a lot of stuff with Taraji. I know that. Trust me, I'm not dismissing it. I'm not diminishing it. But I'm saying if Monique is going to throw stones, it can't be from a glass house. And she does use a lot of things like, well, Black women, we get our flowers after we're dead and blah, blah, blah. Like, I get it. But like, Monique, at the end of the day, in my opinion, you did abandon your child from what he said. I believe him. I'm not villainizing you for it. I think you were young. You had your own childhood trauma. And I think that you probably did the best you could. It seems like you might have some personality or narcissism in there. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not diagnosing you. I'm not saying this is the truth. I'm just saying from the observations. And I think you did the best you could with the emotional and mental capacity that you had. Where I do think you need to take accountability is just to be honest about it. Because it's very clear you did not raise him the way you said your daddy husband raised you, that you had the mentality of a 15-year-old girl when you were in your 30s or 40s, and your husband raised you, and that's why you call him daddy. Well, through your own admission, I don't think the mentality of a 15-year-old girl would have the presence of mind to be emotionally and mentally and spiritually available to raise a child. All your son is saying is, I see you, keep my name out your mouth. That's basically all he said. He was like, don't get up on these interviews that millions of people are now going to watch because you're on the Cat Williams bandwagon. Shout out to Cat Williams. I absolutely love him. Bandwagon, misspeaking about our relationship when you know we don't mess with each other, when you know you weren't there for me. Don't use me as a way to make yourself the victim. That's basically what he was saying. And so I'm on team Shalom here. If your own mother is going to get out here basically saying you have a mental illness, that's basically what quote daddy, her husband, and her was saying, maligning his mental health. And when you look at him, it's obvious he has very, in my opinion, sad eyes. I do think he probably has gone through something, or there's just his energy about him. You can just tell. But I also feel like he's doing the work. It seems like he's gone to therapy. It seems like he's able to create boundaries. He's able to talk about his feelings and call a thing a thing, And like he said, everybody, I don't care who you are in this world, has had issues with your mental health at some point in life. It's literally called life. Doesn't mean you're mentally ill. Doesn't mean you're crazy. Doesn't mean any of those derogatory things. It means you're a human being in this world. And then for her to try to turn that against her own child to dismiss him is disgusting. And I wanted to be on Monique's side. Even after the Shay Shay interview, I was like, okay, I'm kind of seeing her a little bit more where she's coming from. I kind of see it. But the way, and then she posted these text message exchange. I was like, I'm not even going to put it on my screen. Then she posted a text message exchange between her and him being like, see, I was there for him. But the entire text was just like, hey, baby, give me a couple hours to call you back. Hey, baby, I missed your call. Hey, baby, how are you? Hi, my baby, my baby. It was just like normal, and that's the thing. You could have a strained, unhealthy dynamic with someone, even your parent, and still have a text exchange of being like, hey, how are you? Like, it's not all black or white. It's not all extremes. You know? So my heart goes out to Shaylin, I think his name, Shaylin. My heart goes out to him. He has very sad eyes to me. I believe him. He has nothing to gain, with this. And basically all he said was, keep my name out your mouth, Mom. You don't got to go and talk about me on all of that stuff. So I want to know what you guys think when it comes to Monique versus her son. Do you think he was out of pocket? Don't ever speak against your mother. Do you think she's out of pocket and just admit, you know what? I had you when I was young. I wasn't equipped to be a mother. I did the best I could. I was out here trying to grind and get my career off the ground. And I'm sorry. And I'm sorry for that. Because I think that all he wants is the acknowledgement and the validation from her of his experience. That's really all he wants. But I think the narcissist in her has to deny the reality of his experience in order to make her the victim and the martyr. That is the essence of gaslighting. I'm going to deny the reality of your experience in order for me to look the way that I want to look. That's the essence of narcissism. That's the essence of gaslighting. And all he is saying is, I love you, Mom. I am proud of you, Mom. Like, just go on TikTok and watch it. It's about 9 minutes. He's like, I love my mother. I'm proud of her. But I'm just saying, as her son, I felt abandoned because she did have me young. She was focused on her career. Then she got married to this man, and he is now running the show. She has 2 new young kids, and I felt left out. And I think that's a very normal and natural reaction and experience of someone who has those circumstances. And all he is saying is, validate me. But because she can't humble herself, because she can't be wrong, because she always has to be the victim, she is dismissing and invalidating him. So it's just ridiculous. Thank you, Shaylin. Yes. So, my heart goes out to him. And the fact that she treats her son this way, unfortunately, gives more validity to the Oprah, Lee Daniels, Lionsgate, Tyler Perry side. I'm not saying at how they moved was 100% right, but I don't think they were 100% wrong either. I think both sides could have done things differently, and it could have been a much better outcome for everybody involved. So my heart goes out to him. So I want to know what you guys think. Put it down below. What do you think about her son coming out? What do you think about her calling her husband daddy? The Shay Shay interview? Put it down below. And as always, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. So with that, let's move on to, do we want to do Kyle and Mauricio next? Or do we want to do Beyonce and Jay-Z next? Put it down in the comment box. The first comment I get, that is the next story we're going to do. Let me know. Do you want Kyle and Mauricio, or do you want Beyonce and Jay-Z? Which story do you want next? Put it in the comment box. Miss T says Mo has 4 kids, but we only hear about daddy's kids. Exactly. All right. The first one I saw was Natasha. She said Beyonce and Jay-Z. Okay. So we will go to Beyonce and Jay-Z next, and then we'll go to Kyle and Mauricio. All right. So this might be the split heard around the world. It is being said that Jay-Z and Beyonce are headed for divorce amid a potential P. Diddy takedown. So I'm not going to get too deep into the allegations against P. Diddy. We all know what they are. You can Google them. I don't want that energy or conjuring anything on my channel, so you guys can go and check that out. But people are wondering what the hell was going on with Jay-Z and his Grammy speech. As we know, Beyonce has, I think, won the most Grammys in Grammy history, but she's never won for Album of the Year. Her husband, estranged husband, ex-husband, who the hell knows at this point, Jay-Z then went on to do a rant during his acceptance speech for the Dr. Dre Honorary of the Year Award, whatever it's called, in the Grammys, basically being like, the math ain't mathin', y'all need to do better, why hasn't she won yet, all this crazy stuff. Okay? Now, let's watch his acceptance speech. And then I found this mini 3-part series breaking down what might be going on between Jay-Z and Beyonce. And then I'll tell you what I think is going on. So let's watch his speech.
I'm just saying, we want y'all to get it right. We love y'all. We love y'all. We love y'all. We want y'all to get it right. At least get it close to right. And obviously it's subjective. Y'all don't got to clap at everything. Obviously it's subjective because, you know, it's music and it's opinion based. But, you know, some things, you know, I don't want to embarrass this young lady, but she has more Grammys than everyone and never won Album of the Year. So even by your own metrics, that doesn't work. Think about that. The most Grammys, never won Album of the Year. That doesn't work. Just in life, you got to keep showing up. Just keep showing up. Forget the Grammys. You got to keep showing up until they give you all those accolades you feel you deserve. Until they call you chairman. Until they call you a genius. Until they call you the greatest of all time. You feel me?
Poor Blue Ivy. She looked so scared and she looked so shook. It was crazy. Poor Blue Ivy. Now, does this remind you of something? If not, let me refresh your memory.
Yo, Taylor, I'm really happy for you. I'm gonna let you finish. But Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time. One of the best videos of all time.
So I guess I have to say to all the other winners tonight, I'm really happy for you. And I'm gonna let you finish. But Kanye West has had one of the greatest careers of all time. And right now, I am honored to present the 2015 Vanguard Award to my friend, Kanye West.
I mean, it's giving mental breakdown. It's giving, I'm about to be exposed. Please stay with me. Let's keep this brand intact. I don't want $1 billion divorce. It's giving yikes. Now, this is the thing. And then I'm going to show you guys this 3-part deep dive I found on their alleged divorce and why they are divorcing and everything. But I first want to go into this. So, oh, and shout out to Chocolate Chunks. I believe that's my candy cane. requested this story. So if you guys have requests for stories or any topics, be sure to DM me and email me, and I will cover them on the channel. So this is the thing. Jay-Z, when he was at the Grammy stage, he seemed very nervous. He seemed very awkward. He seemed like it wasn't well rehearsed. To me, it sounded more like he was groveling to her, not actually to the Grammys. I don't know what they're called, the Grammy people. And he was like, I don't want to embarrass this young lady right here. Sir, you mean your wife, Beyonce? Like, that was also a weird term or a weird, way to say Beyonce. Like, I don't want to embarrass this young lady right here. That's how I would speak to someone that I didn't know. Like, oh, excuse me, I don't want to embarrass this young lady. Like, I don't know her name. I'm being respectful, and I don't really know this person. That's not a term of endearment for the mother of your 3 children who you've been with for over a decade. Boy, sir, sit by. It was so weird. It was so bizarre. And it's giving Kanye vibes where they look, it's a different, and this is the thing. What I mean by nervous Kanye vibes, Jay-Z to me didn't look and sound like his normal self. He is usually very steady. It's usually like a ha ha ha, like, he has like a little, he has a very tempered cadence. His energy is very usually low vibe. It's very like, da-dun, da-dun, it's very chill. What I saw on stage was a man unraveling. And when it happened to Kanye, that was kind of the beginning of the end for Kanye too. And we all know what's going on with Kanye now. It's just a hot, scary mess, okay? So to me, Jay-Z looked like a man who was about to lose it all. I don't think his speech had anything to do about Grammys. I think his speech is a man on the verge of collapse. Now, there has been rumors that Beyonce and Jay-Z have separated, that they've been separated for a while, that their marriage is nothing but a PR stunt. It's a PR brand. Like she said, this is what happens when there's $1 billion on an elevator. When the whole thing with Solange was beat Jay-Z up in the elevator for allegedly cheating on Beyonce, and her response was like, things go down when there's $1 billion in an elevator. And basically their whole marriage and the kids and B&J is basically this power couple $1 billion brand that they were not willing to give up simply because he was cheating and being unfaithful, and according to Solange, allegedly very controlling of her. Now, where I land on that, and then I'm going to show you this like little 3-part series I found. I, in my gut, think that Jay-Z and Beyonce did love each other. I do think he was probably controlling, but I also think that she was also very strong-willed, particularly when it came to her career. I think that he was cheating. I think she may have dipped out, but only after he did. The whole Lemonade thing was also great marketing. Whether it was true or not, that was great marketing. Lemonade the whole album was really when Beyonce went from leaving Destiny's Child to Queen Bee, because everybody was trauma bonding with her. Not me, but I personally think a big reason why Lemonade was such a success was because a lot of people trauma bonded with being the woman who is long suffering, cheated on, scorned, but I'm gonna stick beside him. And I think very similar to what happened with Scandival. I think a lot of people trauma bonded with Lemonade, but they didn't have the awareness to understand what was going on. And that was great, brilliant marketing. That was basically when Queen Bey was born. Now, was she doing it through some spiritual stuff with her shrine to Oshun? And this isn't me. This is what she has said in her own lyrics. She says she harnesses Oshun energy. Oshun is a I'm not going to say God or goddess because I don't believe they are. I'll say deity or entity or something like that, that people worship and sacrifice to and have shrines to. It's a whole thing. Look it up, Google it. This isn't me saying this about her. This is out there. So I'm going to leave that there. I don't want to conjure anything or call in anything. No, thank you. The door is closed. Look it up yourself. But right after that was when Queen Bey was born. Look it up. So do I think that the image of Beyonce would be what it is today if she had left him? No. I think the fact that they stayed together is what made them this power couple, billion-dollar brand, trauma bonding with the world. Well, if Bey and Jay-Z can stick through it, we can stick through it too. Come on. You know what I'm saying? So I think that it would not have had the same effect if she actually had self-respect, self-esteem, self-worth, and left him. Because as quiet as is kept, the media and the agenda pretends to like a strong, self-respecting women, but they actually don't. They actually don't. And I think that if she actually was a self-respecting woman and actually knew her worth and left him, I'm not talking about a tangible money level. I'm talking about the intangible worthiness and value of a human being. I don't think she would be as revered as she is today. Why I think the stuff about them separating and splitting and divorcing might be true now is very similar to like an Erica Jane Girardi. When the walls are about to close in, what does the wife do? All of a sudden, let's get divorced. I don't know him. I don't know what he does. I don't know what his business is. I don't know him. Because word on the street is that Jay-Z is going to be the next one to be exposed. We've had Puff Daddy, TD Jakes, all these people. You just look it up. Word on the street, Puff is pissed. And he's like, I didn't do this dirt by myself. If R. Kelly, I'm not going down by myself. Now, let's watch this 3-part series I found and let me know what you guys think, okay? Put it down below.
What I've heard about them as a couple is that they've been living separate lives for a very long time. So they together, but they living separate. And part of the reason why they're already living separate lives, and we may actually see one of the biggest divorces in Hollywood, is because Jay-Z is up next to be exposed. You know that once that comes out and Jay-Z is exposed for his nefarious past, you're going to see Beyonce divorce him.
Honey, the day of reckoning is finally here with us, y'all. Beyonce and Jay-Z, they're both locked in a private battle behind the scenes that may lead to divorce. Both of their teams are allegedly leaking information about what's going on, with Beyonce's team saying that she's the one pulling the plug, and Jay-Z's team saying he is the one who is fed up with the relationship. Regardless of who is pulling the plug, the bottom line is a divorce is on the way, allegedly. So according to what most people have observed, you can clearly see in their eyes that Jay-Z and Beyonce are not in love, especially when it comes to Beyonce. It's like she's not into him anymore and there's really no spark in her eyes. In fact, many people are of the opinion that when Beyonce is with Jay-Z, and you know what has fueled the rumors of a separation even further? The speech that Jay-Z gave at the Grammys.
I don't want to embarrass this young lady, but she has more Grammys than everyone and never won Album of the Year. So even by your own metrics, that doesn't work. Think about that. The most Grammys, never won Album of the Year. That doesn't work.
Apparently, the look on Beyonce's face said it all, and there were even reports after the speech that Beyonce was embarrassed and just wanted to leave. Actually, videos from the award ceremony showed that the Carters left right after the speech because Beyonce was allegedly uncomfortable. Child, I hate to break it down to y'all, but according to recent reports, this marriage has allegedly been broken for a long time. In fact, there have been reports claiming that Jay-Z and Beyonce have been living separately for a while now. law. And the rift probably happened sometime before 2014. Of course, y'all recall that after the Met Gala in 2014, footage surfaced of Beyonce's sister Solange Knowles seemingly attacking Jay in an elevator at an after party. And the rumor was that she attacked her brother-in-law because he cheated on Beyonce. At the time, the family released the following statement. There has been a great deal of speculation about what triggered the unfortunate incident, but the most important thing is that our family has worked through it. Jay and Solange each assume their share of responsibility for what has occurred. They both acknowledge their role in the private matter that has played out in the public. That is what they fed the public. But behind the scenes, things were apparently not good at all. Like Beyonce's cousins even said at the time that she was so...
So that was part one. And then we're going to watch part two in a second. But I kind of believe this because it just makes sense. And don't forget, there was also the, what do you call it? The rumors that Beyonce was hooking up with her security guard, I think it was. There was rumors she was hooking up with the security guard. And then also, and again, I don't want to dive too deep on this on my channel, but there was also the fact that there was a restraining order against Beyonce from one of her drummers. And the drummer basically was saying that Beyonce was harassing her and that she was doing witchcraft and all of this crazy stuff. I don't want to dive too deep on those things. And again, I'm not calling it anything. There's no, like, we're surrounded by love and light over here. But I just want to put that out there for part two and part three. So here we go.
Mother Wanda hooked up with Jay-Z in 1992 at his aunt's apartment in Brooklyn, New York, after Jay first picked her up in Philadelphia. And the story is that they used protection, but it failed. And other than a visit from him 2 weeks later, they never saw each other again. And she had no idea how to contact Jay-Z when she found out she was pregnant. In 2011, Wanda even filed a civil lawsuit in New Jersey seeking child support from Jay. But the lawsuit was ultimately dismissed because it was filed in the wrong state and was never refiled. At the time, Jay-Z's lawyer also stated that Jay was not an interested party with respect to the custody of Ramir. And since then, it's been a long battle for Ramir trying to get Jay-Z to do a paternity test. But Jay has never agreed to one. Now, according to Ramir, Jay-Z has been using his wealth and power to avoid taking a paternity test. And he revealed how he was denied a fair hearing in court because of legal mistakes and malpractice. He's even gone for his own lawyers, accusing them of colluding with Jay-Z's legal team to help him get out of taking the test.
These judges, these lawyers, this fraud, collusion, who knows what it's for, money or friendships or whatever they got going on. But I can honestly say that we should never go in the courtroom feeling like we're already the and we did nothing wrong.
Okay, riddle me this. What reason would Jay have to hide a child he had so long ago? He wasn't even known like that back then. And his first album hadn't even been released. So what image was there to protect? And how would him having a child back then mess up his image? Well, guess what? It's possible that Jay-Z is denying the allegations because when he allegedly hooked up with Wanda, he was 22 and she was 6 years younger. Do the math and you'll understand why he refuses to have that DNA test done. Wanda's age when she hooked up with Jay-Z is actually something that Wanda's godmother noted when she said, "I got a call from his in-house lawyer and they were very helpful and we thought we would resolve this privately." They even talked about Ramir's music talent and whether it was a good time to put him on the record label, but he had to finish high school, so I said no. Suddenly, different lawyers got involved and their attitude completely changed. I think they realized there was more at stake for Sean, given that Wanda was allegedly underage. Now, y'all know, even before Diddy's cases were made public, there were interviews behind the scenes for about a year, and the things that were made public were not even half of what happened. In Cassie's case particularly, Jay-Z and Beyonce were mentioned in the original document, and I don't know in what context, but they were edited out of the lawsuit. So it's possible that as we speak, there are already interviews and cases being put together, and if word on the street is anything to go by, Beyonce won't be by his side when things go down. Counting the days before the first official case against him drops?
Yeah. So again, alleged. So basically what they're saying is Jay-Z may have been dipping it and doing it with underage girls. And that is why he does not want to take the paternity test with this young man who has a very similar nose to him. Let me just put that there. Yes, justice for MIA, 100%. Russell Simmons, shout out to everybody in the chat box. Yeah, 2024 has been the year of the reveal, and we're not even done with February yet. So everybody, look, if you got some skeletons in your closet, you might as well clean them out yourself. It is the year of the reveal. So it would make sense just from a pure strategic standpoint if Beyonce would want to break up with him now and distance herself from him now. Now, in my opinion, I always think that the spouse knows. If the husband is dirty, I think the wife knows. If the wife is dirty, I think the husband knows. Do I think they necessarily heavily participate, whether it is fraud or whether it is these weird parties where allegedly, certain things go down without people's consent, or exploitation or trafficking, or all of these very dark and evil things? The level of participation, I don't know. But do I think there is knowledge? 100%. And that's just my opinion on the situation. Let's bring it back to Housewives. Like Jen Shah. Do I think Coach Shah was in on the scam? I do. With Tom Girardi and Erica Girardi. Do I think Erica Girardi was in on the scam? I do. Teresa Giudice and Joe Giudice. Do I think Teresa was in on the scam? I do. I think the spouse always knows. Their level of involvement may vary to either heavily involved to not so much involved, but knowledge of, knock it off. Now, when it comes to entertainment industry with these actors and athletes and musicians and huge people, I think they all participate. I'm not going to get too deep into what I think that participation means, but I think they participate. I think that's how they got to where they're at. But I'm just going to leave that right there because, again, I'm not trying to get too far deep into any rabbit hole. But let's watch part 3.
Close to filing a divorce. Then in 2016, they dropped Lemonade, which was literally a breakup album. But it really looked like they worked things out, with Beyonce giving Jay-Z shout-outs here and there. But again, behind the scenes, things were reportedly not so good, even though they had their twins soon after. Maybe the kids were supposed to mend things, but we all know what happens when people decide to have babies as a solution to a broken marriage. Baby, it never ends well. Now, Jay-Z and Beyonce have been able to keep up appearances for all these years, but reportedly that's going to be hard moving forward because Jay is up next to be exposed, the Diddy style, y'all. In case y'all haven't heard, insiders are saying that Diddy has no intention of going down alone. As a matter of fact, he has allegedly started snitching Jay-Z. These two have been always pretty close until recently when Diddy was exposed, but with Diddy allegedly snitching on him, it's not looking good in Jay's camp. What you need to know, guys, is that Jay-Z is not young. So that means that a lot of the things he did in the past are not on social media. That's why he's managed to keep things quiet this far. But it does not mean that people have not been spilling the tea. Let me tell y'all something. The first person who we expect to expose Jay is reportedly his dear wife, Beyonce, probably after the divorce becomes public. For starters, the timeline of when they started dating has always been sus. Well, Beyonce said in interviews that she was 18 when they first met and 19 when they first started dating. But based on folks who were around back in the day, Jay started hooking up with Beyonce when she was much younger, as young as Foxy Brown, when he hooked up with her.
This was allegedly a romantical thing. It's all right, I'll say alleged, but we know. Yeah, she hit it before Beyonce. Allegedly.
Some time back, there were allegations that Jay took Fox's V card when he was 27 and she was in her teens, and he funded her shopping trips all while paying for her hair and nail salon visits while she was still in high school. See, the thing about Jay-Z is that he pays to keep things hidden from the headlines. With Beyonce, he married her, but with Foxy, there have been reports that he still pays her to keep the details of what happened between them a secret, which would explain why, when Foxy was questioned about the true nature of their relationship, she told TMZ, "The atrociousness of this story sickened me to my stomach. Any and everyone involved will be contacted by my attorney. In all my years in the music industry, these are the most disgusting and disrespectful allegations I've ever experienced. This fictitious story with no audio, visual, or written interview clearly was concocted with malicious intent." But you know who Jay-Z has been unable to pay off? Rymir Satterthwaite's family. Baby, Rymir has been trying for almost a decade to try and get Jay-Z to take a paternity test to prove he is his father. But apparently, Jay-Z used his power and influence to block that paternity test. Based on what Rymir spilled.
Yeah. Ooh, 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 ooh. So what do you guys believe? Do you think that Jay-Z and Beyonce have been happily married ever since Lemonade and they got all of the couples counseling he talked about in his interviews and they were able to come back together? Or do you think, nah, they have been a PR marriage for, just like Beyonce said herself, the billion-dollar brand? And now that that billion-dollar brand is threatened, Beyonce is about to jump ship. To me, that makes the most sense. I think Beyonce will jump ship because I think before him is her. Do you know what I mean? I think that she stayed with him, maybe not so much because she loved him. Sure, she may love him, but I think people who get to levels like a Beyonce, they make their persona and their brand their number one. And so I think now that that is threatened by staying with him, she will leave him. Do I think she's going to turn against him in the sense of spilling all of his tea? No, I don't think that Beyonce is going to say anything publicly because she doesn't really talk, like in general. Like, when do you ever really hear her speak? Not very often. And then also, she doesn't really talk publicly about anything. She never responds. She never really talks publicly. I think it will all be done through PR. It'll be done through anonymous press releases, sources to media outlets, but I don't think any of it will be Beyonce out of her own mouth ever. But I think in order to save herself, she's jumping ship. Do I think she's innocent? In my personal opinion, no. I think she was involved in and knew of and participated in all of it. I do. Now, that's just my opinion. Bayhive, leave me alone. Don't come for me. If you don't like what I'm saying, click off to the next, okay? Don't come for me, Bayhive. This is nothing against Beyonce personally. This is just my opinion observing human behavior and common sense. Right now, I think she is in self-preservation mode. Another reason why I think this is true, and I think that Beyonce is because when everything came out with Diddy and Cassie, I think it was a little bit too convenient that the narrative was like, Beyonce helped Cassie too, Kim Porter, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what? I've never seen Beyonce and Cassie in a photo ever. I've never seen Beyonce and Kim Porter in a photo ever. I've never seen Beyonce in a photo with other women other than Kelly Rowland. That hasn't been a very strategic photo op. I've never seen Beyonce have any female friends other than her sister and Kelly. So do I think Beyonce helped Cassie? No. Do I think that is her team thinking 25 steps ahead of the media? Yes. I think they planted that because again, I think everything we know about Diddy is because the powers that be, whatever you want to call those powers, whoever you think those powers are, I don't know, allowed it to happen. Because just like a Thomas Girardi, just like anybody, people don't run any type of scheme, whether it is an SA or a violent or trafficking or, exploiting people, sex, fraud for decades without higher people allowing it to happen. But when your card comes up, when your name is called, then those same powers that be are going to be the same people to take you down. Because you don't get away with it and you don't profit from it for decades in a vacuum. It is a system. It's an industry. It's basically like organized crime. It's a system. It's systematic. And we may think these Diddy's and Tom Girardis and these Beyoncés are the highest of the highs, but who is writing their checks? Those are the real people in power. And so the only reason why these people are being exposed is because the people who are truly in power are allowing it to happen. For whatever reason, maybe it's a changing of the guard. I don't know. For whatever reason, maybe the veil is getting thinner. I don't know. For whatever reason. So I do think it's strategy that all of a sudden, Beyonce, who I've never seen her truly support any other female, if we're being honest, other than a lip service. I want all my dancers to be women and all my artists to be women, all my, music people to be women. Okay, that's great PR. That's great. Cool. But when has she ever mentored someone? When has she ever put somebody on? When has she ever had female friends? All of a sudden, she's helping Cassie? That's a bunch of crock. I think they're going to try to save Beyonce, but but his time is about to be up. That's why he was at the Grammys looking like Kanye West, about to lose his damn mind. I don't want to embarrass this young lady, and the math ain't mathing, and you guys got to make sure things are. I was like, what the? Even his daughter was looking at him like, well, Boo Ivy was even shook. Like, I don't know what the hell is going on. He was looking like a man who was all out of sorts. That didn't look like $1 billion brand to me, Jay. That looked like a man who knew his time was a tickety ticky boom boom up. That's why he was up there at the Grammys looking like a broke down Kanye. Because he knows, for whatever reason, maybe they stopped paying, maybe it's a changing of the guard. I don't know. But the time is up. The time is up. But it seems to me like the powers that be are going to try to save Beyonce. But Jay-Z, I don't want to say sacrifice, because I think he was a willing participant, but I think his time might be up. That's why all his little soldiers around him are falling. The TD Jakes, the Tyler Perrys, the Russell Simmons, the R. Kellys, the P. Diddy's, If all of your soldiers are falling, it's only a matter of time before the head person falls too. So I'm just going to leave that there. I don't know. Bayhive, don't come for me. I'm not sending for you. This is not the conversation for you. If you are a cult-like person, if you are a Kool-Aid drinking person, this isn't for you. These are for people who are their own minds, who think for themselves, who speak for themselves, have their own discernment, and they worship no man on this planet. This is the content for that person. Okay? So put it down below. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think that Jay-Z and Beyonce, the time's up? Jay is about to be exposed, and Beyonce is like, I don't know him. Don't come from my bag. Don't come from my public image. Leave me alone. I'm going to go over here and do some country doodle-doo stuff. Leave me out of it. Again, even I think Beyonce now all of a sudden doing country. I even think that is PR strategy. The whole rebrand of Beyonce and country now. I think that's nothing but PR. I think her team is very, very smart, very, very strategic. You don't become $1 billion brand by accident, Or do you think, no, they're happy campers and Jay just had a moment, a little bit of too much, whatever at the Grammys, but they're fine. Let me know what you guys think. Put it down below. And as always, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. So with that, let's move on to Kyle Richards. Natasha says the ads are out of control. What are the ads? What are the ads saying now? Let me know. Okay. Now let's talk about Kyle Richards and Mauricio Umansky and my new theory as to the timing of their split and why they are splitting. Wait, hold on, you guys. You guys, I'll be right back in 2 seconds. Like, subscribe, and share. All right, you guys, I'm back. Okay, so you're saying the ads are. So Ms. Dugan says no ads here, and then you guys are saying Candy Crush ads. Wow. I don't know what's going on. Is it because I'm talking about Beyonce and Monique and Jay-Z that the ads are going nuts? I don't know. I don't know. So I'll figure out what's going on with the ads. If they are annoying, I apologize. I'll try and figure it out. Okay, now let's dive right on in. So let's talk about Kyle Richards and Mauricio Umansky and my new conspiracy theory as to why I think Kyle called it quits with him when she did. So, as we all know, Kyle and Mauricio married for 27 years. Over the past year or so, have been separated. There's been questions of why. Is it just for a storyline? Is it because of his cheating? Is it real? Is it fake? What's going on with her and Morgan and all of that stuff? So I think it's a combination of things, but then after watching the last episode, something occurred to me. So, do I think it's the cheating allegations? Yes. Do I think it's the unfortunate death of her friend and that kind of sent her into a crisis? Yes. Do I think it's for storyline? Yes, I do. I think it's real, but I also think it gave her something to talk about and to be talked about. And also, do I believe her and Morgan are in a romantic relationship? No, I think that's PR. But then when I was watching the last episode, she made this comment about, I wouldn't want my daughters to tolerate this either. And something just in me said, oh, that's why she finally left him. Because Farah, I think it's Farah, her eldest daughter, who don't forget is not Mauricio's biological daughter, that is her daughter from her first marriage, ended her engagement to her longtime boyfriend, Alex, allegedly because he was cheating. So then I thought, and I have the clip and we can watch it in a little bit. It's funny how right around the time that Farah ended her engagement to Alex is right around the time, unfortunately, her friend Lorraine passed away. Also, right around the time she started hanging out with Morgan, right around the time she basically started to call it quits with Mauricio. And I then created the parallels between Farah and Alex and Kyle and Mauricio. Number one, obvious cheating. So allegedly, Alex was cheating on Farah. We talked about this back in November of 2022. That's me, you guys. Oh my God, I look like such a baby in that photo. That was like in 2022. There was the blind item of that this housewife's offspring, who has her own show, is being cheated on by her significant other. And allegedly, that was Farrah and Alex. Now, if you guys watched Buying Beverly Hills, you would know their relationship was absolute cringe. It was cringe. I felt really bad. I called her a glorified booty call because I just didn't understand how you are two grown adults and yet she still had to bring an overnight bag when she would stay over his place. If I am in a point in a relationship where I'm like, where's my ring? But when I get up in the morning to go home, I have to take all my stuff with me. That's a huge disconnect. That's a glorified booty call. That's a you up text. That's a, you know what I'm saying? That's just like a, that's your buddy. That's your F buddy. You know, that's not your man. Why can't you can't leave your toothpaste, you can't leave your contact solution, you can't leave your bonnet, you can't leave it, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't leave your retainer. Like, what? I was like, girl. And that leads me to more of what I was saying about the similarities. Also with Buying Beverly Hills, Mauricio allegedly was cheating with multiple agents at the agency. Farrah works at the agency. And I think after the Buying Beverly Hills show came on, in my opinion, I bet a lot of those little women he allegedly was cheating with was like, well, I want to be on the show. I'm smashing the boss. Can I be on the show? She works there. I'm sure she's hearing things. That can't be comfortable because that's her mother. And Mauricio's her stepfather. I would feel some type of way if I worked at a place and everybody was saying that all of these chicks were smashing the boss and the boss happened to be married to my mother. And the reason why I bring up Buying Beverly Hills is I bet you the dynamic changed once the show was shot and aired at the agency. Because obviously Farrah worked at the agency prior to filming, but I bet you the dynamic changed. Once you get money involved, TV involved, ego involved, fame involved, I bet you the dynamics changed. Once you get a show, it's going to be different. And I bet you more people started talking. People probably wanted camera time. People probably wanted this, that, and the third. And if I'm at a place and everybody's talking about how the boss is sleeping with this person and that person, but yet he goes home and sleeps with my mother, I'm going to have a problem with that. And did you notice that right after Buying Beverly Hills, Kyle and Mauricio started having problems. Morgan started popping up, all of this stuff. Right around that time. I don't think it's a coincidence in my Nene voice. I don't believe in coincidence. I believe in conspiracy. Speaking of, buy one of our t-shirts down below. Shameless plug. Anyway. And then also on the show Buying Beverly Hills, Alex clearly gave her a shut up ring that was just for the show. The whole engagement seemed staged for the show. Also, think about public humiliation. When it comes to the cheating, when it comes to not being a priority, when it comes to all of that, right? For Kyle, it was the tabloids. She's cussing out Lisa Vanderpump for bringing up tabloids, but it's not Lisa Vanderpump's fault. This was like seasons ago that the world is talking about your husband cheating on you, you know? And then for the cheating rumors to continue every year after year. That's humiliating. And then for Farrah to be on Buying Beverly Hills, that had to be humiliating. I felt bad for her. I think she's a beautiful girl. She seems super smart, really ambitious. I have no issue. I actually think she's like really nice. And I would be like friends with her if I knew her in real life. She seemed really cool. And I felt really bad for her and all of her friends on the show was like, girl, this guy's just not that into you. Like, why are you wasting your time with him? Is basically what everybody on the show said. He's not that into you. You're a glorified booty call. You're beautiful, you're smart, you're wasting your time. That's basically what everybody on the show said. That's pretty humiliating. And it shouldn't be. But unfortunately, Because it shouldn't be humiliating for the woman. It should be humiliating for the man. Because if you're not into someone and you know they're really into you, be a man and end it. So it should be humiliating for him. But unfortunately, in our society, the woman is the one who usually ends up feeling embarrassed and humiliated and looking stupid. I'm not saying that's right, but unfortunately, that's usually how it goes. She's out here looking dumb as hell, unfortunately, right? Then to have that relationship collapse. So when Kyle says, I wouldn't want this for my daughters, a light bulb went off. And I was like, ugh, that is what happened. Because I'm sure Farrah was like, listen, mom, you're telling me I deserve more. I should be with a man who prioritizes me, who wants to be with me, who spends time with me, who doesn't cheat on me. But yet you're still with Mauricio. So you really can't tell me nothing. Do you know what I mean? So there's that. So and then I found this on Reddit, which confirmed that Kyle and daughter and her fiance ended their engagement. It says multiple sources have confirmed that Kyle Rich's daughter Farrah and fiance Alex Manos have ended their engagement. Farrah, who goes by Farrah Brittany professionally, is a star of Buying Beverly Hills. And this was around 5 months ago. I'm not sure when 5 months ago from today or before, or from further in the past, but she definitely was not with him when Kim's daughter, Brooke, I think, got married, because he was nowhere to be seen. And that was also around the time when Kyle wasn't wearing her wedding ring, was doing stunts, having her whole, like, just the KR luggage, not the KRU luggage for Umansky. So all around this time, the same time that Farrah was ending her engagement with Alex, Kyle was losing her damn mind and calling it quits with Mauricio. I don't think it's a coincidence. Okay, but let's watch what Kyle had to say. And let me know what you guys think about the body language between Kyle and Mauricio. Like, what do you think Mauricio is thinking? Because once I rewatched this, I kind of changed my mind on what I thought about Mauricio.
I think it's been great we've been talking to him too. I thought it was important to go to couples therapy because the more difficult things have become between us, the more difficult it has been to communicate. This year has been very challenging for us,
100%.
And so.
Breathe. Say whatever you want to say.
Even though we've been so good about talking in these sessions, I still find that I'm like, well, I really want to talk about this. Well, when are we meeting with Jamie next?
Well, it becomes fun.
I wouldn't say fun.
Well, I mean,
it feels good.
Good, yes.
I mean, I wasn't laughing in those sessions. My point is, I don't know if that's the right adjective. I think feels good.
Sure.
Love
that adjective. I'm good with that. We've gone through a tough few months, tough year, whatever you want to call it, right? Having a session with him helps me be more in tune with myself.
I hope it helps you kind of reflect.
Well, that's what I mean by being in tune, right? Yes, reflection.
I'll let you finish that by your problems here.
All I'm saying is that this is helping us. I think we're in a way better place. And we've been married for 27 years. We've never had so much going on in our lives. It's become hard, right? It's become really hard.
Well, I'm not someone who's gonna, while you're at work, stay home and go shopping.
Nor do I want you to. Your career is amazing. You've got all these amazing creative ideas about shows and all these things. And I've grown a lot. I have 85 offices. I'm going to have 100 offices by the end of this year, right? I'm opening up 2 offices a month. I mean, it's crazy stuff. We're both growing. We're both changing. We're about to be empty nesters. We've hit our 50s.
We're not empty nesters yet, though. You keep saying that.
I know, honey, but from your perspective, you're looking at today, and today you're correct. I'm looking at, what tomorrow is going to look like, and tomorrow is going to be here very fast.
But the point is, for me, yes, I'm thinking of that, but I'm also we have to think about today. I sometimes just get frustrated that I don't feel like I'm being heard. I want to be in a place in my life that I feel happy and fulfilled. I'm not going to stay in a situation that I'm not happy in, and things that I wouldn't want my daughters to accept, I'm not going to accept for myself.
We've never, ever, throughout this process, stopped loving each other.
So, oh. Anyway, so, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I mean,
Yeah. So I think at this point, Mauricio is done. I think he was just going along to get along. I think he's so irritated with her. I think at this point he's done. And I think that now the dynamic is more of Kyle trying to win him back over and save her marriage. That's what I think the current, like in real time now reality is. Because don't forget, this was filmed months ago. This was from the last episode, which was last week. I think that it started out with Kyle in crisis because of all of these reasons. The cheating, the getting older, her best friend dying, Farah's engagement ending. I think her seeing herself in her daughter. When she said, I didn't want my daughters to accept these things, my first gut was like, oh my gosh, Farah. I'm saying Farah. If I'm mispronouncing her name, I apologize. And I'm going in and out, but I'm human. I'm sorry. I was like, oh, that was another big catalyst for it. Because I don't think it's a coincidence that her daughter's engagement collapses the same exact time her marriage collapses. Now, do I think that if it was just her daughter's engagement ending, would her marriage collapse? No. But I think it's all of these things, It's like the, one drop and one drop and one drop, and then it's the straw. I think it's all of those things made the perfect storm for what's happening. But I think the fact that Kyle went so far with being against Mauricio and all of this stuff, not that she's not justified, and not that I'm saying his cheating should just be forgiven and overlooked. I'm not saying any of that stuff. I'm just saying how things usually play out. Usually when someone is in trauma and in crisis, they go all the way to the other extreme. And then the people in their lives don't understand. They don't understand it. I think he was confused. I think he was trying, but I think now he's kind of done and over it. And I think now what we see Kyle doing, she was distancing herself from Morgan Wade. We see them out now, but to me, those posts now are just very thirsty and kind of just confirms that it was a PR relationship, because the moment Morgan deleted all the images and Kyle was on Jeff Lewis being like, she's just one chick in the rotation. She's just somebody I text in the morning that I text everybody with. She's just another chick in the rotation. After all that, then people were like, what happened? Are they fighting? I think that they were scared that there would be backlash. So then all of a sudden we see Kyle and Morgan out at, Craig's with Kesha, and they're hanging out again and they're stepping out again. Oh no, we're good. Everything's fine. We're not fighting, because they're trying to figure out, how do we end the PR relationship without any side getting backlash? It's like when you date Taylor Swift for money and fans and credibility, you kind of know once you break up, you're going to be the bad person. I think they're trying to figure out how to end Morgan and Kyle without backlash from the fans or without too much speculation. That's why now we're getting that stuff. And that's why now we get Kyle wearing her Umansky jacket. Right before they filmed the reunion, she called the paparazzi on herself. She called Backrid, and she's spotted wearing a Umansky jacket all of a sudden, and then she's defending Mauricio. He didn't do anything wrong by not coming to the celebration of life and blah, 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 blah. Because I think usually when you're in crisis, you go so far, but then once you start to heal and once you start to come back to yourself, and then once you start to get better and kind of get grounded, you're like, well, wait a minute. I didn't really want to blow up my life. I was just in crisis. And I think that it went so far that Mauricio was now out here dipping it and doing it. She's like, wait a minute. No, I actually don't want to blow up my life like this. I don't want not to be married. I just want a better marriage. And I think that's where Kyle's at, if that makes sense. So let's see here. Let's talk about Kyle talking about the final straw with Mauricio. As you guys know, I think the final straw was her daughter ending her engagement. I think that was the final straw. And I think a lot of the straws were the death of her friend Lorene, cheating, the end of her daughter's engagement, getting older, midlife crisis. But let's see what Kyle had to say. So this is from Reality Blurb. It says Kyle Richards still hasn't decided the fate of her marriage to Mauricio Umansky. As the 13th season of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills nears its end, Kyle is offering an update on where she stands with Mauricio, revealing that what would lead her to file for divorce, sharing her thoughts on Mauricio prioritizing work, and admitting that when it comes to Mauricio's growth, she's seen changes in her husband in recent months. Again, everything goes back to what I was saying. Now all of a sudden she's seeing changes because she wants him back. Girl, stop. I'm not hiding anything from anybody, Kyle insisted during a February 14th interview with Entertainment Tonight. I'm working through things myself, and I'm going through something, and I want to be able to be as open as I possibly can, and I will be when I figure it all out. Although they've been separated since last summer, Kyle and Mauricio have continued to live with one another and their 3 daughters, Alexia, Sophia, and Portia. And when it comes to calling it quits on their marriage, Kyle said that they would only do so if their arrangement stops working. Okay. Divorce would be if we can no longer do what we're doing right now, Kyle explained. We were never fighters. We're not a toxic couple, so we've been able to manage that so far. I don't know. The interactions I've seen between them this season have been pretty toxic. Just because you're not screaming at somebody doesn't mean the energy isn't unhealthy. It has seemed very passive aggressive. It has seemed very tense, very strained. The energy is off. Toxicity isn't just yelling and screaming. Toxicity is the quality of the energy. And the quality was very negative and unhealthy. So stop. It's going to be one way or the other, We're either going to wake up and be like, oh my gosh, we could actually fix this. Or it's going to be divorce. I mean, I just don't know how sustainable living under the same roof as friends and as a family can last. I don't know how that can last. Okay, girl. So now she's talking about waking up one day and being like, we can actually fix this. Because you want to fix it, Kyle. Stop lying. You ain't going nowhere and you're not letting Mauricio go. You lost your mind for a minute. You were in crisis, and now that you're doing the work, you've been in therapy for a while now. You're coming down to yourself. You're healing, and now you're looking around and being like, "Wait a minute, I don't want to blow this whole thing up. I just want something different." According to Kyle, there was a turning point where the straw broke the camel's back in her marriage and caused her to call it and ask for a separation. I was always very proud of the fact that we were able to grow together in the years of our marriage. And I think it got to a point where he was so busy and I'm working and we weren't necessarily growing together. And I think that's when the problems that we had sort of put on the back burner started to bubble up again, she revealed. Nearly 1 year later, Kyle, who is nearly 2 years sober, is prioritizing herself and doing what makes her happy. I hate to say it's because it sounds almost selfish, but really just working on myself. Working on myself is taking care of myself physically, emotionally, and really digging very deep and learning a lot about myself. And with that means where I go, where I spend my time, who I spend my time with, and in fact, I'm finding joy, and it doesn't look like it used to, she admitted. Looking back on the tragic taking of her own life of her best friend Lorene Shea, Kyle said the loss put things into perspective. Lorene was the person that was most like me, and I think in losing her and seeing her go through this, I really did think, well, we're only here for so long, and what is important to you, and who do you want to spend time with, and who you want to feel valued in each day is precious, she explained. So, yeah, I mean, we might as well have a crystal ball over here with the candy canes because we called this over a year ago. But let's keep going. During an episode of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills earlier this season, Kyle hosted a National Alliance for Mental Health event in honor of Lorene, and because Mauricio did not attend due to work commitments, he faced backlash. I did go through a phase where I thought, why is our relationship not as important as work? Which I'm sure many women feel that. And I know he has a very important job, and not just with his work, but he has a big family to take care of and support. So it's not like it's all on him or all on me, you know, Kyle reasoned. I'm just careful about how I word it and what I say because I do care about him so much and have tremendous amount of respect for him and what we built. And I don't want to damage that by talking about it negatively. Kyle wants her man back. Like, just say, I want you back, Mauricio. I'm sorry. I lost my damn mind. I want you back. While Kyle wasn't initially on board with sharing her marital issues on the show, producers quickly realized that something was off. You guys, I can't. I mean, I can't. This is so cookie cutter, textbook. It's insane. It's insane. She says there's misconceptions with Morgan and they're free to date, blah, blah, blah. Like I said before, I think they will never divorce. And I think they'll be back together in 3 to 6 months. Maybe, let's say 3 to 9 months. He might want to play a little bit more. But I think Kyle wants her marriage back and she wants her man back. And she's like, okay, I'm done playing. And he's like, no, you put me through hell. You made me miserable. I'm going to go keep playing a little bit more while I have this hall pass. That's what I think is going on. Do you guys think Kyle will leave Beverly Hills? Do you think her time is up? Do you think she should leave? What do you guys think? Put it down below. Let's see. I'm going to see if I want to finish this article or not, because it's kind of just like the same thing over and over again. No, there's no need to. So let me know what you guys think. You know, do you think the fact that, you know, her daughter was going through very similar things, not being prioritized, allegedly being cheated on, and facing public humiliation was the straw that broke the camel's back that Kyle is referring to in the article that made her step away from her marriage to Mauricio? I think it was one of the big ones. And do you think it will be addressed on Buying Beverly Hills? Put it down below. But before you do that, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Woo, that was a doozy, you guys. I'm going to drop the link in case anybody wants to come up and chat. And let's do some candy cane questions and comments, okay? And let me know if you guys like these types of videos where I do more of pop culture stuff. And always be sure to DM me or email me